It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Great evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, and welcome to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time to meet Team 280, Brendan Quinn. He covers Michigan and Michigan State.
It's the debut on the show.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.
The show has arrived now. We got the mighty Quinn with us. And not exactly the weekend anyone expected for Michigan and Michigan State.
No, I did not expect. It was a lot of miles for two losses going down to Iowa City and then back to East Lansing today for this loss. Shook things up in the Big Ten standings, though. I think that conversation of the huge separation and then, these two, it's just a two-horse race. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than that.
Matt Painter says, come to Papa. I'm ready. Just keep losing those games.
Right on in there.
Also want to welcome Darian Harris. He is five-year MSU linebacker, co-captain of the 2015 Big Ten champions, last semester graduate student. And he is also BTN contributor and brand ambassador for Big B Coffee. Looked like some nerds were afraid at the free throw line. Had been drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And if you know Coach Izzo and how he handles games when you struggle at the free throw line in practice, and next week, I think we know what to expect. But he stepped up to the plate as Coach Izzo always does in the press conference, in the post-game press conference, and said it was his fault. Said he didn't get the team ready to play. And it's interesting to hear that specifically after last week, him saying how he was going to grind his big men in practice and things of that nature. And they still had some issues during that game with Indiana's big men in terms of the way Nick Ward and Xavier Tillman played, even though Tillman played pretty well. So it'd be interesting to see how Coach Izzo handles practice going into the next game. But I agree with Brendan. I think that the way the Big Ten race is shaking up, once the tournament hits, I don't think it's just going to be Michigan and Michigan State vying for the top spot.
Game day was not supposed to be the highlight of the day, but that's kind of the way it went. Also want to welcome Larry Lage. He is Michigan Associated Press sports editor, and he covers the University of Michigan football, MSU basketball, Lions, Red Wings, everything else under the sun. We've seen some strange ones. We saw Texas Southern come in and beat Michigan State in Breslin. Been a long time since we've seen one quite like that.
Yeah, I was stunned. I thought Michigan State would win by 20 and bounce back, and Indiana would continue to struggle. Indiana had lost 7 straight. That's the most since they lost 9 in a row at the end of the 2010-11 season, but they looked like a totally different team today, and so did Michigan State.
First win for the Hoosiers since January 3rd, and it seemed about that long between Michigan State free throws through the course of the game. We'll talk a lot more about that. We'll be back in just a moment. Our Going Green segment brought to you by Graf Chevrolet. Coming up next here on Press Pass.
Hi, I'm Realtor Brock Fletcher from the selling team with Keller Williams. Mid-Michigan homeowners who sell their homes with us get an average of 98% of their asking price and sell their home in an average of 28 days. Call us today at 517-853-6408.
It's time for Kickoff. Wallside Super Sale 75, celebrating 75 years of offering the best replacement windows. Now, defend against high energy bills with this Wallside triple threat. Buy one Wallside window, get one free. Pile on the savings, an extra 15% off for cash, or 4 years, no interest. You're the winner during Wallside Super Sale 75. Call 1-800-521-7800.
Welcome to Russell and Schrader Insurance.
Hastings Mutual is a trusted partner of ours. Call Joe Daly for a Hastings Mutual insurance quote. They are hard to beat. Call Dylan Bond today. From business to farms, Hastings Mutual and Russell and Schrader Insurance will protect your best assets.
The countdown to Daytona is on, and Fox 47's giving you the chance to be a winner with our Fast Pass Quick Cash contest. One lucky viewer wins a pit pass for 2 to MIS and $1,000 to spend however they want. Plus, one viewer a day will win a $100 gas card just for watching. Starting Monday, watch Big Bang Theory at 7 and Last Man Standing at 7:30 for the clue of the day. Then go to our website to enter. Play every day to increase your chances of winning Fox 47's Fast Pass Quick Cash.
I need an airway.
The Resident, all new, Mondays at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Michigan winters are all about being outdoors and having some fun. Can we have some fun where it's warm? We're kicking off 2019 with huge savings during Graf's Winterfest.
And during Graf's Winterfest, we'll double the value of your trade up to $5,000.
Get 0% financing on select 2018 Silverados or drive a 2019 truck for $100 a month or less.
Plus, take a test drive and register to win a 2-night ski package at Treetops Resort. Why are we back outside? It's cold. For Graf's Winterfest, going on at a Graf dealership near you.
Team spirit, face paint, more cowbell. Dean Trailway's Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet, a trusted friend with 105 years in the automobile business. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg on West Grand River in Okemos. They'll take great care of you as they have on all 6 of my leases and purchases. Go green, go Graf.
Shoot 25%, 19% in the last 5 games from the 3, and they hit 50%. We're shooting 77%, and we really shoot about 30 because we missed 3 front ends of the 1-and-1, so we're really 8 for 25. But maybe the most disappointing thing was our rebounding. You know, I've been telling you that we have not rebounded the ball very well as far as defensively. And another team gets 20 offensive boards against us, and the effort of that, I just don't have enough bodies to keep putting people in because I've been pulling some people.
There you see Tom Izzo, and he was concerned about blocked shots. A week earlier, Michigan State blocked 14. Kenny Goins tied a school record with 8 blocks. But a lot of other things went wrong. Larry, what did we learn about Michigan State Saturday night against Indiana, and is this team good enough without Joshua Langford to hang banners?
Not right now, the way they're playing. And what they found is Cassius Winston cannot do it alone. He had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He made all 4 of his free throws. The rest of his teammates made 4 out of 18. And as Izzo mentioned a few times in the press conference, they missed the front end of the one-on-one a few times. And he just can't do it alone. He cannot play those kind of minutes, be their best scorer, be a pretty good rebounder, be their #1 playmaker. No one can do it alone, certainly not Cassius Winston. Not for this to be a banner-hanging team.
Brendan Quinn, if you took the second best player off any top 10 team, certainly any Big Ten contender, not going to be quite the same, but who has to play a lot better?
Well, I mean, you can say it's by committee because this team thrives the most when it gets out in transition and runs. They only had 14 fast break points against Indiana. So, you know, they're at their best when it is group by committee in this current construct, but you need more from Nick Ward. Yeah. He has to get better touches deeper in the post where he can just turn and score and not be away from the basket where he can get double teamed, and that's kind of where offensive possessions go awry in the half court. But the guy that I circle, I think, is Aaron Henry, just because with Langford's absence kind of speaks directly to an opportunity for him, I think, to establish not just a role of, minutes, but of scoring and of, kind of being a major piece in key moments in games. And he has so much potential that, I think what a lot of guys on this team are. You know what Kenny Goins is. You know what Matt McQuaid is. Like, what's Aaron Henry's next step? And can he get there this year is my big question.
And Nick Ward had been shooting so well at the foul line. Looked like he had completely cleared that hurdle, and against Indiana, he was trying to throw it in a thimble.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's, when you do get the flu and you miss practices and you miss reps and things like that, if it can be a little bit, uncomfortable coming back, if that's something that plays into it. But he has been decent at the free throw line. I mean, he was 5 for 10 in the last game, so he hasn't been, lights out all year. But, 1 for 9, that's a killer. That's a killer from an upperclassman.
Darian, you know a lot about defense and a lot about leadership. Where is Joshua Langford going to be missed the most through the rest of the season?
Well, I think obviously as the second best player on the team, another player that can create his own shot. I mean, right now they only have one guy that can create their own shot on the perimeter, and that's obviously Cassius Winston. I mean, I think when you think about a player like Matt McQuaid, Kyle Arns, players like that, they have to be set up, kind of in the Klay Thompson situation where we don't know exactly what Klay Thompson can do on his lonesome. He's always set up. I mean, he's scoring, 60 points with taking 3 dribbles. That's McQuaid and Arns and Goins on the outside. That's how those players get their shots up. Whereas Cassius Winston, as well as Joshua Langford, as we saw in the Texas game, he can create his own shot. So I think that's where you miss him the most. I mean, I think defensively we saw Aaron Henry can be a lockdown defender. I think he did a great job, especially down the stretch on Romeo Langford. I think that Langford, Indiana's Langford, had a couple shots that were, late in the shot clock, rebounds and kickouts and things like that. But I think other than that, Aaron Henry did a great job on the-ball defense. So I think it's really going to be having that second guy on offense that can create their own shot.
And it's a great point. Henry played great defense in the end of regulation, making Langford take like a fadeaway 23-footer. If Ward makes both free throws, game over, we're talking about a different night. Exactly.
When you think about the inside play, Xavier Tillman had a good night, but he wasn't in the game certain times. Tom Izzo's talked about trying to get the right combinations in there. Had one of the deepest teams in the country. Now, does the bench get shorter, or does somebody else have to play more minutes? Is this a case where they have to see what Foster Loyer can do? I don't know if that's a good place to do it at Illinois.
I mean, it's February. I just don't know how much leeway you have for putting a guy in there that
But your man Gabe Brown.
I don't think Gabe Brown has shown enough in actual action to warrant those minutes. What he's doing in practice, who knows? But right now, I think it's a stretch to be adding to this rotation. I think you got to find the best minutes possible out of the pieces you have.
I told Tom Crawford that Michigan State and Michigan would both have back-to-back losses in Big Ten play. Michigan State's taking care of its part. We'll see what happens with Michigan, and we're going to talk Michigan basketball coming up next. Our Out of the Blue segment. We'll be right back.
The Student Bookstores are Green and White Shop headquarters. Outfit your entire family with Spartan gear. We have a large selection of men's, women's, and children's clothing. Show off your Michigan State pride with new shoes, socks, hats, and more. Have your tailgate ready with MSU party supplies, car accessories, and dress your pet in green and white. We have gifts for students, grads, alumni, and fans. From Vera Bradley and Dooney and Burke to diploma frames and more. Always shop SBS for the biggest and best selection of green and white. Go green, go white, go SBS.
So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first, I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoy giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
Hello, my name is Dr. John Braccio, psychologist. If you or your child have problems with focus, inattention, sitting still, memory, concentration, these are traits of ADHD. Visit us at drjohnb.com.
There's trouble coming. If trouble comes, I'll handle it.
These things can do whatever they want and no one can stop them.
I guess we'll just wait and see what happens.
You're scaring me.
The Passage, all new Monday at 9 on Fox. Wisconsin, Michigan, Saturday at 11:30, only on Fox 47.
We thought we lost everything in that fire, but my independent agent and auto owners made sure we were up and running fast. That's what mattered to us.
The Holden Divendale Insurance Agency, we are
your hometown team.
It's the return of the Spartan Stampede, voted IPRA Indoor Rodeo of the Year, February 15th to the 17th. See riders test their skills against top caliber livestock in this 3-day event. See barrel racing, steer wrestling, bronc and bull riding, and more. Get your tickets at whartoncenter.com. Seating is general admission with reserved seating available. The 50th Annual Spartan Stampede, February 15th to the 17th, where traditions become legends.
Every superhero has their kryptonite.
Help!
Girl.
Yo, Raj, talk to me. How about a hug?
How about a hearty handshake?
Come on.
The Big Bang Theory, 5 nights a week.
Weeknights at 6 and 7 on Fox 47.
You know, I saw it from film, and I saw it coming last year as well.
but I can see why they're 17-5 right now. Laughing at people when they were going into this year and they were saying, you know, well, they weren't being ranked as one of the top teams in our league. I said, are you kidding me? They got everybody back from a really good team. I mean, who has everybody back today? And they had everybody back plus Wieskamp, right? And they're just a real. I was just a really good team.
That is Michigan head coach John Beilein Friday night after the 74-59 loss at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Brendan Quinn, when Michigan got in the early foul trouble and then shot 8 for 33 from deep, was a second Big Ten loss by double digits inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, the if not when factor of the Teske foul trouble has kind of been surrounding this team of what's going to happen when that day comes. It came here. I asked John, you know, the first question at the press conference was, in your mind, how did you see this playing out when this inevitably came? And he said, oh, better. I thought it'd be better. Yeah. But instead they tried 3 different guys at the 5 spot behind Teske and couldn't find an answer. Ended up resorting to Colin Castleton, who hasn't played at all, seeing first half minutes, which showed the level of desperation. But you know, this is a thing that's going to follow this team around. The number one strategy against Michigan State right now is get an early foul on John Teske. You have to deal with that.
Darian Harris, we got a good look at Iggy Brasdeikis, and he tried to keep Michigan in the game Friday night. And of course, we saw Romeo Langford last night in Breslin Center. Who's the Big Ten freshman of the year? Brasdeikis, Langford, or someone else?
I think it's Iggy right now, especially with the way that the team's been playing, albeit, you know, the loss to Iowa, being right up there, you know, in the top 2 right now in the Big Ten. But Romeo showed me something down the stretch in the Michigan State game. Struggled a little bit early. You know, again, you know, Aaron Henry's defense on him was great. But down the stretch, made some big shots, you know, got his confidence back going. So it's going to be a close race at the end between those two in terms of freshman of the year. But I think it's between those 2 guys. You're our NBA expert on this panel. Do you see both of these guys as one and dones? I think it's possible. I mean, I think that coming into the season, Romeo Langford was the guy that was going to be the main one and done, maybe the only one and done we saw in the Big Ten. Then, you know, it's like, who's this Iggy kid that comes out of nowhere, and we see how great of a player is. So I think there's a chance, there's a possibility. I think there are 2 other guys that are going to have to throw their name in the hat, see what type of feedback they get from the NBA, and then weigh the options. It could be a Miles Bridges, Gary Harris type situation where you come back for another year, have a huge sophomore year, and then roll out after that. I don't think there's any issue with that as well. But I don't put them into the category of, you know, say the Duke freshmen. You know, they're not definite. And I also think this draft, when it all comes down to it, is a very, very deep class when you look from top to bottom. There's a lot of guys out there that are going to go this year. So it's all about the type of feedback you get back. Larry, Michigan's last 9 games, they have 5 on the road. Have to go to Rutgers next, and then Penn State, maybe get somebody, and Minnesota. Plus they have home and homes with Maryland and Michigan State. Will U of M finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in the league in the regular season? And will it win a 3rd straight league championship in the tournament?
2nd, and yes. I think they lose to Michigan State in the regular season finale at the Breslin Center. Spartans hang a banner for the regular season. But I think Michigan wins it again in the Big Ten tournament because I think when Michigan's clicking, it has 5 guys that can score in different ways. Yeah. And they play defense now like they haven't in the past. Yeah. Now, Michigan plays defense now. Been 2-3 years running, and with Coach Yaklich, the defensive coordinator. Yeah. And I think they have probably the most upside. If Michigan's clicking, I think they're the best team, and I think that's kind of a tournament-type scenario.
When we talk about the Big Ten tournament, Brendan, I guess John Beilein knew a little bit about Iowa because last year the Hawkeyes nearly got Michigan, and it would have derailed everything as far as the conference championship.
If they had lost to Iowa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a game in the tournament.
There are a number of games. It was an overtime game, if I remember.
Yeah.
And there are a number of moments in that whole stretch where you say if one thing had gone another way, none of it happened.
Hey, they survived a dump truck, right? Didn't you use that on Twitter the other day?
That sounds like something I would say.
We'll be right back. We're going to look at the rest of the league and the country, the big picture. We'll be back with that and more here on Press Pass.
Your sight, our focus. At LOI Care, our focus is always on you. From routine eye exams to glasses and contact lenses, it's about you. From eyelid and cosmetic procedures to LASIK surgery, we see you, Michigan. This year at LOI Care, we'll perform thousands of cataract, oculoplastic, and glaucoma surgeries. Your sight, our focus, always. We're LOI Care, with 12 locations and one near you. Visit us at LOI.com.
During the 1-800-HANSON's blowout sale, get 50% off the installation of our famous triple pane windows. Plus, for the first time ever, take an extra 20% off. That's up to 70% off. 70% off the installation of new windows. And no payments and no interest till winter 2020. Plus, get a new Amazon Echo Dot. Whether you buy from us or anyone else, the Echo is yours. 1-800-HANSON's blowout sale. Get it done.
Hey, partner, looks like you got another ride to work.
Lethal Weapon, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
The Ticket Machine is your local connection to concert, theater, and sporting event tickets nationwide. Our entertainment experts are ready to help you create a memorable experience, trusted by fans for more than 20 years. Whether you're looking for tickets for your corporate outing, family excursion, or vacation, we offer the best seats and the best prices. Grab a front row seat now on theticketmachine.com.
The Knapp Center is a historical hub for future business growth in beautiful downtown Lansing.
The Ide Company did the best they could to preserve the integrity of the history of this building while incorporating a modern open workspace.
They have been prompt, they have been efficient, and they really are a friendly, great group of people that we don't have any concerns about calling them for any of our needs.
Opportunities for retail, office, restaurant, and residential. Build the future as a member of the Ide Company family.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for The Big Picture, brought to you by Dean Trailways. With trips for every season, Dean takes care of the details so you can enjoy the experience, including daily casino runs and great getaways to Northern Michigan and Chicago, where Doug Warren and I were in August for the NFL Legends Classic. That's Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Held his ground, picks up the foul. Good technique. Injuries, obviously you get better in terms of player development, getting the reps. Wow, Davison feeling it. Get involved here, even in how you...
Gets Fernando in the air, and he draws the foul and hits. Wisconsin's so good in this building. Trice hits it. And Wisconsin gets a little revenge on a Maryland team that beat them in College Park.
There you see the Wisconsin Badgers at their best. Ethan Happ, Brad Davidson, Demetric Trice, Travis's brother. Larry, there was a time that many people in the media, not Quinn Buckner over here, thought that, hey, Maryland could give Michigan State and Michigan a real run for the championship. Now, maybe that's Wisconsin, maybe it's Purdue, or was this just a case of Wisconsin proving what home court advantage can do in the Big Ten?
I think home court advantage is huge. I think that is, you know, a huge factor in a lot of games. I don't think there's that many surprises when you look at, you know, teams winning at home. Today, you know, certainly, or yesterday with Michigan State losing to Indiana, that was a stunner. But I think home court advantage is huge, like maybe 5 points in college basketball.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that with Rutgers, Brendan, when they're home.
Yeah.
Can do some things. Penn State, on the other hand, comes so close and never makes the one play it needs. Can the Nittany Lions do the improbable, if not impossible, and go 0 for 20?
I don't think so. Because they've lost like 8 games in the final minute.
Yeah.
Just the impossible things where, like, at some point the ball has to bounce a different way, and they should have beat Purdue. No, that's that was a situation, that game was right there for them, and it took some miracles from Carson Edwards, and it took some wild blunders from Penn State to lose it, but they managed to find a way pretty much every night to drop it. But I think they'll get at least one.
At least one.
I mean, it's a Philly guy coaching the team. I can't say he's going to lose every Big Ten game.
That's got to be worth at least 1 or 2 wins, right?
he might, or at least a shove.
Darian, I want to take a look at the NCAA's net rankings here for the week, and this is Friday's version. And Michigan State, Michigan, we're going to fall back, obviously, with the losses. But when you look at the Big Ten, still having 6 teams in the pool here, how many of the teams at the top have a legitimate chance to cut down the nets in Minneapolis in April, 5, 6, 7, or 8?
I think you got to look at 8, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the top 8 right there. Again, as you said, Michigan State and Michigan will drop back. I think Wisconsin and Purdue always have a chance. Kentucky's getting a lot better. Calipari's finding some stride with his team, even though it's a young team. Then obviously there's always a couple of teams in the tournament that show up late. I've always loved the way Auburn plays and what they're doing. If I were to pick a favorite right now, I'd probably go with Tennessee. You know, they have the experience right now. I mean, I think that, you know, we've seen it with Villanova, so I can just point straight to that. We've seen it with Villanova, and I think we're going to see it a lot with Tennessee this year. That the one and dones are great and they're fun to watch. And there's some of the, you know me in college basketball. It's the only college basketball I watch. I watch Michigan State. I watch Zion Williamson. That's like my rule. But when tournament comes, I'll watch all of those games, and I think we're going to see that having experience and having aged veterans when it comes to the tournament will actually pay off dividends a lot better than having the best players. Because Duke's got the best players, but how are they going to be in the tournament? We're not sure.
Larry, when you think about Final Fours and Monday nights, which teams are going to be in Minneapolis competing in the final game of the season?
Ooh, I'll go for the provincial Michigan State, Duke, Tennessee.
Okay. All right. And in the championship game, it will be?
Duke beating Tennessee.
Duke and Tennessee. So you have them both getting there, but not getting to the championship game. Okay.
Man, who gets the book there? That
You'll be writing the one if they play for the championship because you got that covered.
I'll take it.
Who do you see in the championship game, Brendan?
I like the Tennessee pick, and I do like the experience, and I like having Admiral Schofield and Williams. Like, they just have guys who know what they're doing, and they're really tough, and they play that great brand of basketball. But then the question of Rick Barnes, who knows if he can actually do it.
I can't sell Gonzaga to anybody.
We're getting to Gonzaga. We're getting to Gonzaga. I'm going to say Gonzaga, Tennessee, but I feel way better about Gonzaga than I do the Tennessee pick.
Okay. I like Gonzaga, and now they're healthier than they had been earlier, but I still think Virginia. You know, they lost by 2 points in Cameron. Something tells me that this is the year that Tony Bennett erases that stain. People said, Maryland, Baltimore County, they'll never win a game in the tournament. I think you're going to see them get to the Final Four this year. All right. We will be back in just a minute, and we're going to have our Law of the Jungle segment talking about Super Bowls past and present. We'll be right back.
Team spirit. Face paint. More cowbell. Dean Trailway's Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Michigan winters are all about being outdoors and having some fun. Can we have some fun where it's warm? We're kicking off 2019 with huge savings during Graf's Winterfest. And during Graf's Winterfest, we'll double the value of your trade up to $5,000.
Double the value of your trade up to $5,000 and choose from any of these vehicles for $112 a month or less.
Plus, take a test drive and register to win a 2-night ski package at Treetops Resort. Why are we back outside? It's cold. For Graf's Winterfest, going on at a Graf dealership near you.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, we have a taste for adventure because the only way to know how good something can be is to go for it. Try our veggie smoothies, Island Green, made with spinach, kale, pineapple, banana, and mango, and Caribbean Sea Burst with carrots, mango, banana, orange, and goji. Adventure begins with never knowing until you try. but always expecting something great. Go for a veggie smoothie at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Eat better, feel better.
Welcome to the galaxy.
The Orville, all new, Thursday on Fox.
When it comes to health insurance, what's your plan? Mine's Physicians Health Plan, and for good reason. PHP is right here in mid-Michigan, so if I'm looking for a new doctor or managing my meds, I like that I can just stop by their office if I have any questions. They're always there to help, and that's reassuring. So is the fact that they cover me across an entire network of providers. They've got me covered. Physicians Health Plan. Everything you want a health plan to be.
Here we go. It's my turn to make history. Start your engine! Let's go, my bones. Till all has been done. My name's forever known. Yeah, baby! Bang, bang, won't stop till we're legend.
The Daytona 500, February 17th on Fox.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Law of the Jungle segment. Brought to you by Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, your healthy alternative to fast food. Eat Woody's and live longer. I'm talking about chicken shawarma with baked breast meat and hummus made fresh in a 3-day process. That's why I'm there every week, though Woody's items are now available at Tom's Foods, Horrocks, and other local grocers. There you see the list of Hall of Fame inductees for 2019. Tony Gonzalez, Ed Reed, Champ Bailey, Ty Law, former Michigan Wolverine, Kevin Maue, Johnny Robinson, guy who was drafted by the Lions and of course starred somewhere else, Gil Brandt, and Denver Broncos owner Pat Bowlen. And we want to welcome in our Detroit Lions and NFL historian Doug Warren. Doug, as you look at that list, what surprises you?
Nothing surprises me. I guess the surprise is it took this long for Johnny Robinson to get in. He should have been in 3 decades ago, but there's such a backlog of players and contributors and coaches in this NFL process that they need to have an amnesty class of some kind, because Alex Karras isn't in yet. He should have been in 3 decades ago as well. But this is a tremendous class, a lot of defensive guys in this class, which is unusual. And I think it all begins with Ed Reed. The first true safety to be elected to the Hall of Fame in 33 years. So one of the best of all time, no question. But this is a loaded class.
I thought maybe Isaac Bruce would get in. They've had a recent run on wide receivers. And you mentioned Tony Baselli. You love linemen. Why isn't he in?
Just hasn't had the votes yet. There's a backlog. I mean, Baselli was in contention this year. Steve Hutchinson and Alan Faneca was a great player for the Steelers. All of those guys probably should be in already, but because there's such a group of linemen that belong in, guys can't get all the votes. So there's just a backlog right now.
All right. Earlier tonight, you saw the New England Patriots, Tom Brady's 9th Super Bowl appearance, going against the Los Angeles Rams. Game being played while we're taping this. But Doug, as you look at the 4 teams that have not been to a Super Bowl, Detroit, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and the second incarnation of Houston, which one of those franchises gets to the big game first?
Well, right now, I'd have to say Houston, because they've made the playoffs the last couple of years. They do have a pretty good quarterback in Sean Watson, and on the defensive side of the ball, they have some decent players as well. The other team, I think, that's ahead of Detroit and Jacksonville is the Cleveland Browns. If Freddie Kitchens is the right hire, they certainly have a guy who in Baker Mayfield, who appears to be a franchise quarterback after early returns. The Browns are in a much better position than either the Lions or Jacksonville at this point.
Larry Lage, you cover the Lions regularly. Forget about my lifetime. Will the Lions get there in yours?
No. I hope to live about 40 years, but I think they are doomed, and I just cannot see it happening.
Doug, it is the 50th anniversary of one of the most famous upsets in sports, the Jets over the Colts in the 3rd World Championship Super Bowl game here, 16-7. And Joe Namath had given his guarantee in Miami and then made good on it. Is there another game or two that stands out to you as being unforgettable when we think about great Super Bowls? We've had some mismatches, we've had some clunkers, but we've also had a few classics.
Yeah, a couple of my favorites. Super Bowl 13, Pittsburgh and Dallas. That was the first Super Bowl rematch. When you count owners and contributors and people, there were 21 Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers involved in that game, either on the field or in the, on the sidelines. And the other Super Bowl, I think, which is still maybe my favorite of all time because of the contrast in styles, Super Bowl 25, Giants beating the Buffalo Bills 20-19.
Yeah.
The Giants with the 40-plus minutes of time of possession comes down to the final field goal that Scott Norwood missed. To me, the Whitney Houston's national anthem, the beginning of that game too, was just something that kind of sticks in my mind as being one of my favorites.
Always take the over on the national anthem prop bet. You think about Joe Namath going out there against Cincinnati and trying to ease the tension, and he's talking to Harris Barton, his offensive lineman. He says, "Hey, H, look, there's John Candy up there." Everybody relaxes. They go right down the field and beat the Bengals. And then you think about a couple of games with the Patriots. Well, you got a catch against the helmet, right? And then Plexico Burress catches that ball in the end zone. And then I still don't know how Atlanta, Darian, let that 28-3 lead disappear. How's that happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, I guess fortunately for me, my lifetime has had some pretty memorable Super Bowls as well. I always remember, obviously, Malcolm Butler's interception that gave, Brady another ring and cost Russell Wilson his, second ring. So there's definitely some classic games out there. And I'm, as we're, taping and watching this one now, you just always hope that a Super Bowl is a classic game. You never really want to blow out in a Super Bowl. And it does happen, but you're always hoping for a classic game.
Philly boy, I guess we have to talk about Nick Foles. Right?
I think it's a travesty that maybe the best Super Bowl ever has not been mentioned here. But not only that because the Eagles won, but Nick Foles beating Tom Brady is like up there with any upset that you could ever come up with. And the game was great. The Philly special with the trick play, Brady missing the one catch. Not much better.
We'll be right back in just a minute. Tracking a Trophy up next.
From business to farms, Hastings Mutual will protect your best assets.
Here's your Buick, sir. Actually, that's my Buick.
Your Buick doesn't have a roof rack. This is my Buick.
How are we gonna fit in your mom's Buick?
Easy.
I like that new Buick.
Me too.
I was actually talking about that Buick.
I knew that.
Did you?
Buick's fresh new lineup is full of surprises. Get great deals on our expectation-shattering lineup. Pay no interest for 72 months on most Buick models.
What is The Passage? It's basically about a government experiment that was intended to cure cancer. It turns south and unintentionally creates monsters. And mayhem ensues.
Get away from the cage!
We are gonna change the world. We gotta find someplace safe.
You shouldn't have lied to me.
How is this possible? I don't know. I feel amazing.
The Passage, all new Mondays at 9/8 Central on Fox.
Don't miss Daily Mail, weeknights at 6 on My 47.4.
You're up. There's an old saying, you can never have too many officials. The age of the average official is 52 and getting older all the time. We're constantly recruiting new people, younger people to join us. After you register with the MHSAA, look on the website to find an officials association near you. They'll put you in a position to succeed as an official. We all learned a lot from high school sports, and officiating is a great way to give back to the game. There's help wanted. Just whistle.
Touchdown, Champions!
The Student Bookstores are Green and White Shop headquarters. Outfit your entire family with Spartan gear. We have a large selection of men's, women's, and children's clothing. Show off your Michigan State pride with new shoes, socks, hats, and more. Have your tailgate ready with MSU party supplies, car accessories, and dress your pet in green and white. We have gifts for students, grads, alumni, and fans. From Vera Bradley and Dooney and Burke to diploma frames and more. Always shop SBS for the biggest and best selection of green and white. Go green, go white, go SBS.
Working with the Ide Company, 1, is very easy to do. 2, they're very responsive to our needs. And 3, as we've grown as a company, they've listened to those needs and they've helped us plan out our future in terms of growth that needs to be done at this location.
It's just comforting to know I'm working with the Ide Company, knowing that they can accommodate our growth. In that way, they're an excellent partner.
Opportunities for retail, office, restaurant, and residential. Build the future as a member of the Ide Company family.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's our Tracking a Trophy segment. And we're going to talk a little bit about the National Basketball Association. Right in your wheelhouse, Darian. Mark D'Antonio hates two-part questions, so we're going to give you a three-part question.
Perfect.
Okay? Anthony Davis, is he the #1 talent in pro basketball? Would his relocation be the biggest in the league since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went from the Bucks to the Lakers? Where will he play next season?
I don't think he's the #1 talent in basketball. I think he might be 2 or 3. I think that belongs to LeBron James until he decides to hang it up.
Okay.
So then that would make his relocation the second biggest since Kareem moved from the Bucks to the Lakers, and that would.
Are you saying that because he wound up with your Lakers?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. But I would say that LeBron going from Cleveland to Miami when he left Cleveland the first time would probably be the next relocation after what Kareem did. And I just think that's because it's LeBron's league till he's done. Everything that LeBron does, I mean, it capitulates what the rest of the players do. I mean, they're talking about this right now, collusion and throwing all these things out there, saying LeBron is the one that's creating the situation. So as for next year, you know, obviously I hope he ends up in a Lakers uniform, but I'm not necessarily sure that's going to be the case. I mean, I think that right now would be the safest guess. I mean, Vegas would probably know better than me because it's so hard to figure it out. Just there's so many variables. I mean, his dad came out right now and said, we're not going to Boston. They're not going to Isaiah Thomas us. But then again, the ball is also in the court of the Pelicans. You see what the Spurs did with Kawhi Leonard. He said he doesn't want to be here. He wants to go to LA. He said, okay, we'll send you out the country. Right. So it's possible that the Pelicans could do a situation like that, just depending on what they're going to get back.
I think the one thing we know, Brendan, is that Anthony Davis is not going to have a made-for-TV special of The Decision.
Is that been ruled out? I don't know.
Yeah, you think he might try that? It didn't work too well for the last guy.
People have a good way of coming up with bad ideas, so.
FS1's looking for some content.
Yeah, they got to fill up the hours.
Yeah.
Larry, you knew Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trey Burke, former Wolverines. They're Mavericks now, but the big news there is Kristaps Porzingis, who is going to be out all year, but going to come back and team with Luka Doncic. What do you make of that 1-2 punch?
I mean, I think that gives them potential next year to, you know, go up and compete with the top teams in the Western Conference, potentially. They took on some really bad contracts, or long ones, with Hardaway and Lee, all looking toward the future with Porzingis, because it's about getting stars, and you know, they potentially have 2 there to move forward next season and beyond.
They'll at least fill the arena, right?
Speaking of stars, the Detroit Pistons tried to get another star. They got Blake Griffin, and they had a 25-point lead yesterday over the Clippers. Managed to lose by 10. How's that happen?
It's a bad team.
Amazing, yeah.
I covered 2 Piston games recently, and the NBA product is so much different than what it was when I loved it. It just does not look like guys try hard a lot.
Yeah.
They pick their spots.
Yeah.
And,
playoffs.
That's just the NBA.
Yeah. Brendan, we're hearing that Kyrie and Kevin Durant want to play together. This could happen in Madison Square Garden. Could you imagine what the scene would be like in New York if those two team with Zion Williamson, should the Knicks win the draft lottery, or if it's rigged?
That would be wild, and I love the Garden. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah.
I don't see any of that happening, though, as long as James Dolan owns the team.
Okay.
That's probably going to be a island of misfit toys, as far as I can see, that the team's basically a vanity project for himself. And I can't imagine the players ever being bigger than him.
Where will those guys play? Where do you think Kevin Durant, is he definitely going to get out of Golden State? You keep hearing about wanting to get back to the East Coast, maybe even Washington?
I just have to imagine that in some way they find some path to make it work to keep him there. Yeah. And I don't know enough about the salaries and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, great players like playing with great players, and you have to imagine that these guys can get in the same room and flesh it out.
So besides ticket sales, we know that a lot of people are going to want to watch Zion Williamson. Darian, have you seen anybody quite like him at 280 pounds and a 45-inch vertical?
No, I haven't. I've never seen anybody like him. I mean, I think that in terms of, I think there's two guys that we've seen in different sports, but the two main sports, obviously, in America right now that we've never seen anything like. One is Zion Williamson in college basketball. The other is the new NFL MVP and Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. I don't think we've seen anything like those guys. It doesn't mean that they're best ever. I think Patrick Mahomes obviously has a chance. I mean, it's very, very early, so we don't got to necessarily go down that bridge, especially when a guy like Tom Brady's playing for his ninth Super Bowl, in his ninth Super Bowl. But I think that he has a chance. Zion, we got to see how he's going to translate. Can he get that outside shot down? But we see he can't hit it. But in terms of seeing anybody like him ever, never. I don't think we've ever seen anybody like him play the game of basketball. No.
There are people, Larry, Brendan, who think that he's not the top NBA prospect on his Duke team, that maybe R.J. Barrett is.
I think Zion is, and you talked about him just being different. He's the only basketball player I've seen hit his head going up and flying around the room.
We'll be right back.
We never give up hope.
Should be fun. I'll lead.
We're breaking waves, shooting stars. We live for glory, not forever.
You don't leave me, and I don't leave you. We are going to show you the dawn of a new age.
What's your hair? We haven't got any hair.
Oh my God!
Look into these beautiful hazel eyes.
How can I resist?
Woo! Run!
Oh, snap!
That sounds like fun.
Download the Fox 47 Storm Shield app and stay in touch everywhere you go.
Michigan winters are all about being outdoors and having some fun. Can we have some fun where it's warm? We're kicking off 2019 with huge savings during Graf's Winterfest. And during Graf's Winterfest, we'll double the value of your trade up to $5,000.
Get 0% financing on select 2018 Silverados or drive a 2019 truck for $100 a month or less.
Plus, take a test drive and register to win a 2-night ski package at Treetops Resort. Why are we back outside? It's cold. For Graf's Winterfest, going on at a Graf dealership near you.
Team spirit, face paint, more cowbell. Dean Trailways Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin of the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Take It to the Bank segment, brought to you by Dart Bank, dedicated to meeting the needs of our banking community for more than 90 years, with 4 convenient locations in Mason, Holt, and South Lansing, Grand Ledge, and the expanded Home Loan Center in Frandor. That's Dart Bank for what matters most. You see the Izzone and the crowd at Breslin Center, and also now Chrysler Center. It's much livelier than it has ever been before. Team 280, we have seen Michigan State win 53 straight home games at one point. And Michigan now, Brendan, I think has ratcheted it up where it's certainly not toward the bottom of the league. It's one of the more electric environments. That home court advantage probably helped a lot in that game against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Could have been a loss.
I think overall they've invested a lot of time and effort into coming up with literal strategies for creating a better atmosphere and engaging the student body more. There are still games where the top of the student section is not full, but the Minnesota game was top notch. And earlier this year, the North Carolina game was maybe the loudest game I'd heard.
And they had a lot of people there for Ohio State, right?
Yeah, with the weather and everything, it was a packed house, and everyone was. The students didn't have class the next day. I think they started a little early. I think they had a good time that day, so good for them. But it's a great environment right now. It is.
Would you say that with the Mays rage, that environment, the electricity, has caught or passed what you normally see in Breslin Center?
I would not say that. I think Michigan State still probably has a more intimidating home court advantage because more students are on the court. It's just a little bit different. I think it can turn into a hornet's nest a little bit more so than Chrysler Center right now.
What kind of a lock can you give us on the Wolverines at home the rest of the way? Do they go 10-0 in conference home games?
So 4 remaining games are Wisconsin, Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska.
Yeah.
I will say they finish 4-0 and finish undefeated at home.
Well, when you do that, you got a great chance, and Michigan State would love to have that chance back. Doesn't have that. Darian, what can you take to the bank about the I-Zone, and how many students would you guess might alter plans, do whatever they could to be at a senior day send-off and possible championship game against the Wolverines on March 9th?
Well, I think that might be the loudest that Breslin has ever gotten, just with the circumstances, maybe a little bit also with how football season went and trying to find something to hang on to. I mean, you know, being there today, being in the Breslin today, it got loud, and I think that down the stretch it did, and I think that there's been some stigma put on the I-Zone as they haven't been showing up and things of that nature. Right. But what I would take to the bank also is that I think this is the smartest student section maybe in the entire country, because they understand exactly what's going on the court. They understand exactly what's going on off the court, surrounded around the school. Yeah. You know, the feud between Michigan State and ESPN, yeah. They get it. You know, the issues or lack thereof or situations that all teams have with referees in the Big Ten. This student section understands it. So I think that it can help and it can hurt in situations, because when you get a situation like what happens with like Michigan State and ESPN, they're like, well, we're just not going to show up.
Yeah. I thought they were terrific Saturday. The one thing they couldn't do, Larry, was make a free throw. Yeah. But when you hear what an Ohio State parent, Caleb Wesson's mom, was talking about abusive treatment from U of M students, fans in Chrysler Center this week. As a former Sparty in your days on campus decades ago, how far is too far to go to get a home court advantage?
I think cursing and throwing anything or getting physical. I think short of that, that's pretty much fair game.
Intimidation of parents?
I mean, it depends what you're saying, or if you're in their space, or you know, touching them. Like, those would be crossing the line.
Izzo got mad when the fans got on a Minnesota player for being incredibly ugly a couple years ago, but it didn't help him. We'll be right back with our final segment.
Hello, my name is Dr. John Braccio, psychologist. If you or your child have problems with focus, inattention, sitting still, memory, concentration, these are traits of ADHD. Visit us at drjohnb.com.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
Based on the success of season 17 with the All-Stars, I thought I'd do similar, but this time turn it up even more. So it's rookies versus veterans.
We've been here. We know what we're doing. They don't. Forgot what this was like. It's all coming back ever so quickly.
Rookie mistake numero uno.
You're professional chefs and you're acting like idiots. These rookies are good because they're coming from Michelin-starred kitchens. So for me, it's like Michelin-star, all-star. It's one of the best dishes you've ever done so far. It's really flavorful.
Amazing.
Who cooked this? We did.
We did?
We've ramped it up a bit. We've gone up to a completely different level.
I realized there is a hell on earth.
Get out!
Why is he so cute when he yells? Because he's British.
All new Hell's Kitchen, Rookies versus Veterans, Friday on Fox.
Ride with Chicago PD, weekdays at noon on My 47.4.
During the 1-800-HANSON's blowout sale, get 50% off the installation of a new roof with Scotchgard and a lifetime guarantee. Plus, for the first time ever, take an extra 20% off. That's up to 70% off. 70% off the installation of a new roof. And no payments and no interest till winter 2020. Plus, get a new Amazon Echo Dot. Whether you buy from us or anyone else, the Echo is yours. 1-800-HANSON's blowout sale. Get it done.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Cool and Smooth segment, brought to you by the 5 Culver's locations in mid-Michigan. Since 1984, Culver's has been delighting guests one meal at a time with scrumptious Butterburgers and premium frozen custard. That's Culver's. Welcome to delicious. Michigan State hockey. 4 straight wins and then a tie, and a team that everyone picked for last in the Big Ten, and now they're on a roll. Here you see getting 4 points to the weekend against the Wisconsin Badgers and moving ahead of them. So all things are looking good for Danton Cole and company. All right, Team 280, who has been as cool and smooth as a Culver's mint explosion this week? Darian Harris, let's start with you and our play of the week.
Play of the week for me, it's got to be the NBA taking over Super Bowl week, as they always find a way to do, and making it about themselves, which is just fine with me at the end of the day. But the Knicks trade, obviously, sending Porzingis to the Mavericks, what we got right now in Dallas with a foreign dynasty that they're trying to build right now with Luka and with Kristaps, albeit Kristaps coming back healthy. You know, he's still a mystery. You know, his nickname's a unicorn. He still is a kind of unicorn because we don't know if he really is that generational type talent that we think he is. But just that trade right there, it sent even more of a rift through the NBA than, you know, Anthony Davis coming out and saying he wants to be traded. Kyrie Irving also coming out a couple weeks, you know, before, a month ago, he said, you know, I'll re-sign with Boston if you have me back now. He says, I don't owe anybody anything, so I don't know where he's going to end up. It's just the NBA being the NBA, the best soap opera money can buy.
Absolutely. Larry Lage, what about our game of the week before the Pats and the Rams?
Michigan State at home Saturday against Minnesota. You would think the Spartans would bounce back at Illinois. If they don't, they're really in, you know, big trouble. But that should be a good game. Minnesota's pretty good. Spartans will be back at home. That's my game of the week.
Yeah. All right. Brendan Quinn, time for our team of the week. Lots to choose from.
I'm going to stay on brand with Big Ten basketball. And I'm going the cheap way. I'm going to give it to 2 teams. Purdue and Wisconsin, both taking care of business. Purdue beating Michigan State, obviously, and then winning at Penn State. Wisconsin winning at Nebraska, and then picking up a home win against Maryland. You know, it kind of takes 2 to tango, right? Obviously, Michigan and Michigan State needed to lose a couple games for this thing to get tight, but you also needed other teams in the conference to emerge and make it interesting. And those 2 are on big win streaks right now, and they're going to make it really interesting, and it's good for the league that they're doing what they've done.
On the Drive with Jack and Tom, about a week and a half ago, I think you correctly forecast Wisconsin is making a lot of noise. Could you see being a 3-way tie? Maybe one of those teams, Purdue, sneaking in there with Michigan and Michigan State?
I could, especially because of Purdue's schedule. You know, they don't have Michigan again. They don't have Michigan State again. They have 1 game against Maryland, but otherwise they have by far the easiest road the remainder of the way. So if they can keep going, and Michigan State can ding each other, right? Then it's in conversation for sure.
Player of the week. I want to go 2 ways with this and split it between Lorenzo and Langford. And I'm not talking about Romeo. Lorenzo White was my host down in Fort Lauderdale all week, so I didn't shovel any snow. I didn't deal with sub-zero temperatures. Lorenzo, thanks a million for a great week. And I had a chance to spend some time with Joshua Langford after the game. And you'll hear that interview Monday. And he's talking about what he can do now, what he has to do, how this team is going to bounce back. And if he isn't a coach, I'll tell you what, he's got a lot of things he can do after his career, but that's one that he might want to consider. Really a first-class guy in every way. He's going to still help Tom Izzo's program. Want to thank Team 280. Brendan Quinn from the Athletic Detroit.
Thank you, Jack.
Headed to Piscataway?
Champaign, Illinois.
Oh, you got You're Champaign first. That's right.
I will be at Michigan
I can't
State,
keep his
Michigan State,
schedule.
Illinois.
It's like talking to DJ Carson. It's so many games here. And Darian Harris. Darian, we're done with football now, but season's just starting for you with the NBA.
Absolutely.
So you'll be in your glory. And Larry Leitch, Michigan Associated Press sports editor. Always great to have you up here. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week, everyone. Team 281. Have a great week.